Our viewers, so today we're sitting here with another property specialist team. These guys are probably the guys we've known the longest. We moved to Mauritius 16 years ago and they were the first company that we dealt with. Always been professional, always been great people to deal with, and people that you can trust being the most important. So I just want to introduce Frederic and Philippe
Hello.
to the channel, and yeah, they're based in Black River and you also have offices in Grand Bay.
Yeah, and the centre of the island.
And the centre of the island. So you guys got 3 offices around the island.
Yep.
Can you tell the viewers a little bit about your company and when you were established?
Yeah, so we founded in the company in 2004, me and my wife, and we really wanted to give that very special, attentive and personalised service. That was our intention.
Yeah.
And I think we delivered through the years because we are today known as a trusted real estate professional. And we obviously catering for the local market, but since the foreign market has opened up, we've really been very strong on the international market, welcoming a lot of foreign clients in the country and assisting them from beginning to end in their property acquisitions.
And you guys are a Mauritian business. So you guys are Mauritian.
I'm
and
100%
this is
Mauritius based. I'm 100% Mauritian.
Yeah.
Philip joined me along the way,
Yeah,
so
I'm
he's
Dutch.
also Mauritian.
Yeah, I'm Dutch, born in France, so yeah, I'm now Mauritian.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So can why don't you? I think one of the things we're going to touch on is that a lot of our viewers now are coming in from South Africa. South Africa is a bit of a hotspot this last week. We've seen with all the protests and looting and violence that's happening. And we've been getting a lot of inquiries about Mauritius, and also with the new budget, there's a whole lot of changes in the budget and how that affects property. So Philip, if you could maybe just tell us about the changes in that.
Yeah, I think the main changes that we've seen, and first of all, we're very sorry to
Yes,
hear
we
about
wanted to say.
what's happening in South Africa,
Yeah.
because that's definitely not a reason why we want to attract more interest. But let's say the main focus of the new budget and the new regulations in the new budget has been to facilitate foreigners to come in the country. More than changing a lot of rules, but more than ever before, that's for sure.
Yes.
So they want to help foreigners to settle in, come with their families, allow their spouses not to have to apply for a work permit if they want to work. So that's a big change.
That's a massive change.
So that really is to facilitate the families to come in, and especially with their dependents. Because now they're taking away that age restriction for children, which
used to be 24,
24
now
years old.
now they can stay as long as they're on your permit.
Exactly. And also you can bring in your parents, more elderly parents.
Yeah.
They just come in under your permit, and it's just basically to facilitate the expatriation of foreigners.
Just
to
makes
come and
more
settle.
sense, basically.
And not make things more complicated for them.
Yeah.
So
Currently, what's the if you get investment, if you get residency through investment through buying a property, what's the minimum?
So the minimum has been $375,000.
Yes.
But for some properties, which were the apartments in the Grand Plus 2 building outside of the normal resorts and schemes, it was 500,000 US in those Grand Plus 2 apartment buildings. But now it's been brought down to 375,000 in the same way as in the big resorts, the IRS, the RES, the PDS. So that's a nice little change. And also in those apartment blocks of Grand Plus 2 minimum, you could only get a 10-year long stay visa, and now it's basically an open permanent residence in the same way as for the IRS, the RES, the PDS, and the smart cities.
And
So that's a big
they've
change.
increased that permanent residence from 10 years to 20 years now.
Exactly.
So that really gives you a bit of peace of mind.
Yeah, 20 years renewable. So I mean, it gives peace of mind. It gives really a nice.
A good reason why to come over and to establish and not think it's going to be tight in 10 years. So.
Exactly.
And tell me, so now you buy an apartment at Ground Plus 2, and are you allowed to spend 12 months of the year?
Sure. If you buy above the $375,000, you get a permanent residence. If you buy under, then you've got your 6-month tourist visa, which is fine for some expatriates who like to still commute within their country to their country of origin.
I know a lot of the Europeans like to come here in their winter and come enjoy summer here, and then they go back when it's summer into Europe.
Exactly.
So that's a category below the 375. So you can buy Ground Plus 2. I think the value was 6 million rupees.
6 million rupees, which is what approximately
about $160,000, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the lowest entry level is the 160.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
And do you have a lot of properties in that category?
No, not many.
Okay.
Well, I
must say.
think what's coming up is going to be interesting. I think people are going to be coming in as soon as our borders are open, which is the general situation actually around the world.
Yeah.
It's a bit more complicated for South Africans right now. I think they need to be away for 2 weeks
Yeah,
out of
so-
South Africa before they come.
Yeah.
But it's not impossible. I think
So we've got clients coming that are flying to Namibia, spending
Exactly.
2 weeks in Namibia, then flying
Correct.
across, or to Dubai
or
for
to
2 weeks.
Dubai. Yeah.
coming
So
in,
they've
yeah,
got
so-
plans going
But
for
that will be dropped from October, 1 October. so-
Exactly. So I think up until then, we're definitely going to have some projects coming in. We already have 2 in the pipeline, depending, on the budget of our clients that are
Yeah.
going to be coming in. But yeah, I think we're going to have a good choice, and depending on the coast, whether it's the north or the west.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to have a good selection of
So,
properties.
so one thing I always say to my clients is you don't have to dive in and buy something that you haven't seen. So
Right.
come here,
Yeah.
contact you
Start renting.
guys,
Of
rent a
course.
house.
Yes.
Exactly.
And that's what we did. So we came here, we rented a property for the first year. We got to know the areas. We actually first moved to the north at Beach. Wasn't for
Yeah.
us.
Right.
We decided to move down to Black River. We fell in love with Black River and the Tamarin area, and we rented a house for a year here. And then after that's when we ended up purchasing something.
Of course. I mean,
So-
there's 2 scenarios. There's that scenario. There's other people who know the island already,
Yeah.
who've been
And-
coming.
But a big thing is
For
schooling.
holiday.
Schooling for
Schooling,
kids. So
yes.
where a lot
Yeah.
of people want to be close to their schools. So
Exactly.
that was,
There are options on both sides. Anyway.
Yeah, there's-
so
there are.
that's fine. There's many options nowadays. It's really, there's a good variety in every sector of activity, I think.
And there's a good choice of schools, French, English schools
Yeah.
in the north, in the west. So I think there's a lot of choice. That's not an issue. There's a lot of choice also of tertiary education, more and more.
Exactly.
You see foreign students coming in the country. So there's a good level of tertiary education. Your kids don't have to move out necessarily.
Straight away after
You've
school.
got management courses, you've got hotel management courses. I mean, you've got a very large
Sure.
scope.
Yeah, so a lot of guys are doing BComs
Yeah.
at the Australian University.
Exactly.
We've got the Middlesex, the UK University, and I see they're going to be pushing medicine here. So for doctors, physios, all that kind of.
That's a big change as well in the latest budget.
Yes.
They really want to open more doctors to come in.
Yeah.
So it's a good move. I mean, the country needs it. I think the country needs more specialized people in the workforce.
Yeah.
In those fields.
In business, in finance, and
Yeah.
trading. So
I agree.
I
Yeah.
think there's a good move, and the country has understood, and the government has understood that it comes through welcoming foreigners
Yeah.
to help out.
So I understand they want to approve 50,000 new.
Yeah.
Permits.
Retired citizens.
Yeah, retired
As well.
and
premium visa,
self-employed, premium visa. So that's 50,000 people. Is a lot of people,
It's a lot.
which will help this economy. So it's
Yeah,
50,000 families.
Yes.
Exactly.
Which means it's going to help schools, going to help supermarkets,
All
going to help
industries.
restaurants, all the
Everything.
industry, everything will.
Yeah.
will I know we've seen valleys and cycles. Yeah, I've been here 16 years, so we've seen when a lot of people came and a lot of people left, and then you couldn't find rental properties, and then you could find rental properties.
Yeah.
And one of the big things that I tell our viewers is most of the rental properties are furnished here.
Yeah,
Exactly. That's
So
a
it's
good point to know.
Quite hard to find an unfurnished
It
apartment.
is.
So if you
It
bring in a container with your furniture, you
Yeah.
need to spend a lot of time with these guys to
Yes.
find you an unfurnished property, because they are quite hard to find an unfurnished property.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we're also part of a big international network.
Yeah.
So that also helps when you want to sell in your country. We
Right.
can introduce you to agents who've got the same,
Mindset.
the
Culture,
same mindset and the same
mindset, yeah.
culture as us, and we work very well in referrals with other countries, especially in South Africa.
Yeah.
We've got big agents there, and they can help, and in other countries as well.
We were talking about Portugal eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things I'd like, if you can first run through what's the process for a rental property. When a person, you take them out, show them
Yeah.
what happens, and then maybe afterwards you can let the viewers know what it is to purchase a property and the time frames behind it.
Of course. Look, for rental, it's pretty easy. I think what we'd like to do ahead of the time of our viewers and clients coming over to Mauritius is to debrief us, send us everything that you need, you'd like to have in your house or villa or apartment, and then we kind of do a pre-selection for you, because by the time you send us your requirements and criteria and the time you arrive, there might be a bit of a gap in what is still available. But then once you arrive, we can take you out, have a look at what there is in different areas depending on what you're looking for. and then fine tune it, and it's pretty easy. I think what you need to know in terms of payments is the deposits here. We're looking at about 2 months deposit prior. Our fees are 1 month rent plus 15% VAT, and then we draw up the inventory list, we do a property appraisal. So it's to make things smooth.
But a process, once they find a property for a rental property, they can take 2 days to get the whole deal done.
Easy.
Of course,
easy.
It's
Yeah.
very
easy
quick,
process.
as long as they know what if we've done the selection properly, depending on what is available, and then we just bring it and it's done.
And a lot of the properties are pet friendly. I know when we came
Most of
across,
them,
we bought
yes.
dogs, so it's one of the things to check that if the owner's happy that you have pets. But most Mauritian homes have dogs there anyway.
Yes.
So
If it's villas with garden, most of them will welcome dogs.
Yeah.
And the purchase process is quite smooth, I must say. So usually you when you go beyond the selection and you've identified a property, which we will help you with, obviously, to go through. We're selling projects, we're selling off-plan projects, we're selling ready-made, built villas. So there's a large
resales
choice
of
of
projects.
resales. The secondary market is strong, and the government has just helped with the new law and the new budget, which will help the sellers, and maybe you are a seller of a property in Mauritius. For the IRS and RES, it's cheaper now to resell on the fees.
Okay, that's
So we'll let you know more in detail when you contact us. But it's let's say it's cheaper to resell at the moment, which is good. And then when you've identified a property, the most important thing at the moment is to go through a KYC. With that we've got very strong regulations as regarding anti-money laundering laws and regulations. So it is very restricted, but it's the same case, I think, everywhere in the world. The banking system is more and more regulated in this particular area.
I think especially for South African viewers, they have to get a South African bank,
reference.
the Reserve Bank approval for transfer of funds.
That's on their side, but on our side here, we'll need obviously a bank reference from their bankers. So it's good that you prepare before you come, maybe a bank reference, just to show that you are a customer of good standing with your present bank.
Police clearance.
Yes. You will need the police clearance.
Yeah, so it's like we have a morality certificate.
That's a morality
So in South Africa, it'll be a police clearance certificate.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So you go through the KYC that we submit. Obviously, you go through a reservation contract where you pay to the notary an escrow an amount. The amount is safeguarded by the notary. It's not at risk until you make your application, because you've got to make your application to the EDB, which is the government body.
It's the Economic Development Board. So they grant the permits.
They are the ones
So they will grant you the right to buy and to purchase. That's what we've got to go through, and that's fine. Because they're not going to hold it up, because obviously they want foreigners to come in the country. So if you are people of good standing, that's no problem. And it's just a procedure, and then when it's approved, and the conditions in the payment of the deposit and the escrow is always subject to approval from the government, obviously. So you don't risk your deposit, and then when it's approved, then you go to title deed, and at title deed you pay 100% of your property when it's a resale, or when it's a finished property. But when it's of a project which is off plan, then you pay as per construction progress.
Okay. And the process. So now one of our customers comes in here. They arrive here. You take them around, show them some properties. They got a property they fall in love with. Let's say Tamarina Golf Estate. And now from signing the documents to getting into their house and getting all approvals, what's the timeline on that?
I would say 2 to 3 months.
Okay.
That's reasonable.
That's fine.
Okay, so they could do a short-term rental in the meantime, and then move into their property.
Exactly.
No problem. There's enough property, especially at the moment, with what we've gone through. There's enough property in the market, even on a medium-term basis.
Awesome, guys. I think that's from my side. I don't know if there's anything you guys want to add, but I'm happy with that.
We welcome all the people
forward to-
wanting and looking into property and the property market. It's a good property market. It's steady. The values are appreciating every year at a regular pace. People are not losing money. If you've bought well, that's why you need good agents. But if you've bought well, your property will appreciate in time, and that's also a good security. That's what you want. And there's also a good potential for rental returns. We're not speaking of very high rental returns. I think people need to know that. We're not a country known for very high yields, but enough to pay your bills.
Right.
And sometimes that's just enough for clients moving here.
Especially as an investment or
Exactly.
plan B,
A plan B option.
property.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Awesome. Guys, thank you.
Yeah,
Guys,
thank
if you
you.
want to get in touch with them, you can drop me a mail on info@rolfeinternational.com and I'll forward all your details onto the team, and I'm sure you'll get great service from them.
Looking
Thank
forward to
you.
hearing from you.
Thank you, Rolf.
Ciao.
See you soon.
Bye,
See you
guys.
soon.
Bye.